All right. First of all, trying to see if I should have my glasses on or off. I guess I'll keep them on for now. But let me close out some of these windows real quick. I don't want my computer to crash. Good morning, good morning. Whenever you watch this, I guess good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever. Closing out some windows here really, really quickly. Hey, Miss D. Good morning. Good morning. I'm just closing out some windows really quickly because I do not. This laptop's old, child, and I don't need nothing crashing. So let me close this stuff out real quick. All right. So, okay. I hope that this qualifies as a part of my 90-day challenge. I'm just gonna say that it is because it's I can do what I want to do. I'm a grown woman. So, in case you're not familiar with me and you're new here, my name is Bree, and I'm the host of the Brown Girl Self Care Podcast, which is a podcast for Black women who are actively healing and know that they deserve to have their humanity honored. I started the podcast maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. And, it's just a labor of love. So here I am on YouTube. And I have been saying that I was going to get on YouTube for a very long time, but it took a tremendous amount of effort for me to do that. So, I have to make sure that I hype myself up for that because it can be very challenging. But I want to be a woman of integrity. And so I'm trying to be creative with ways that I show up. So I'm doing a 20-day challenge right now where I am just allowing myself to be seen, allowing myself to be visible, and also talking about my freedom journey. So it's kind of like a catch all. Let's see what Mr. Rita is saying. Yes, it counts. You keep showing up. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Dorita is actually a huge supporter, and I'm very thankful for your support. So I have a few things I want to talk about, and hopefully I don't ramble. But the first thing that I want to talk about is these goals. Okay, I want to talk about goals really, really quickly because they're important to me. I realized recently that I had kind of been slacking on, I don't want to say on my goals, but really I've been kind of slipping in how I keep them at the forefront of, what I want to do. So I need to be able to see my goals every single day. Haven't been doing that consistently. And I want to stay disciplined right now in the season. I think this season for me is calling for me to be more disciplined. And I'm doing a really good job so far, but life be lifing. Life be lifing. We get busy, you kind of fall off a little bit, and you look back later, down the line, you're like, oh, dang, I stopped doing XYZ, even though I knew XYZ really was helpful for me. And because sometimes I get like that squirrel syndrome where I want to do all the things, I want to talk about all the things, I want to, I just need a way to stay focused. So I figured, let me get back to really being consistent, not necessarily with the goals, but with the seeing the goals every single day, because that is definitely going to help me to keep that at the forefront. You know, there's a saying like I don't know if it's Zig Ziglar, I forget who said it, but you I don't want to say should, but something that has been helpful is to keep your goals in front of you, put them in your purse, put them in your car, put multiple copies around your desk and stuff like that. Just finding creative ways to keep your important goals in front of you because after you've written them down, which is a huge step, by the way. A lot of people don't even write their goals down. But after you've written them down, just being able to come across them on a regular basis, it does something to the brain. I think it does something to the spirit too. So the approach that I am taking now, I found this guy's work. His name is Brian Tracy. And I haven't read his books or anything yet, but he has this process where he encourages people to write down 10 goals every single morning or every single day and like do this religiously. And he doesn't encourage you to go back and necessarily read the goals, which didn't make sense to me at first. Not only is the process about writing the goals every single day, but in my opinion, I think it also has to do with as you continue doing this process down the line, you're going to start to see which goals are actually important to you. Okay. And then he also encourages you to write them in, not in the past tense or whatever tense that says, like, I will. I think that's future. So, not necessarily the future tense, like, I will uh, lose 25 pounds. I will. Um, I'm trying to think of some other goals really quickly. I will start to drink water more consistently. Like, it's not necessarily the future tense. It's writing them in the present tense, like right now, as of today, as if this has already happened. I don't have my journal here in front of me. Of course, it's somewhere here, but I did it this morning. This was day one for me. This was day one for me of writing out my goals every single day in the present tense, not in the future tense, but in the right now. So I'm trying to remember what I wrote, and so now I'm gonna have to make some stuff up. But it was something along the lines of, um, I have $25,000. I am a creative thinker. Um, I don't know. I can't think of them in real time, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, keeping them in real time right now. Okay. Doing this religiously every single day. So that is what I will be doing over the next 30 days, because I really do want to see or learn or experience and explore how this is going to help me with my goals. Um, Maybe the next time I come on, I'll actually, or in the next few days, as I continue doing this, I'll be able to give you some in real time. It's just that right now my journal is not accessible to me, and I want to just keep it pushing. But if you are someone who, like me, can tend to be, have squirrel syndrome, or you might be a little, a little all over the place. I don't like to operate in a place of chaos, but that doesn't mean that I don't operate sometimes from a place of chaos. That's just my truth. But I need things that help me to stay grounded in the right now. It is very easy for me to have these big pipe dreams and not write things down and then forget about them, and then I'm all over the place. And that is not a part of my freedom journey. I want to figure out tools and techniques that work for me, that help me to stay in alignment with, the vision, the goal, like the goals or the blueprint that I'm creating for my life, this life of freedom that I am creating in real time for my life. So again, the guy's name is Brian Tracy. I think it's Brian, Brian, then Tracy's probably Tracy, or it may be Tracey. There's a few different ways to spell Brian and Tracy, but I think it's exactly what I said the first time. So if you want to Google to learn more about him or his technique, I would highly encourage you to do that. And again, it's something that I hope that I can come back and talk to you about in the coming weeks, because I do again want to keep my goals at the forefront of my mind. One of the goals that I have, and I had this idea a few years ago, but I just haven't executed. Like, that's another part of my I don't want to say issues, but it's also another part of my challenges is I have a lot of ideas, but where I tend to stumble is in the execution of it all. And that is something that I'm actively, working through. But I had this idea where I wanted to be able to travel around the world and talk to Black women about their own personal freedom slash self-care journeys. I envision myself in my little RV that I lived in part-time, and I'm just traveling around the United States, at least for now in the US, not outside the country just yet, but in the US for now. And I'm traveling around, and I have this studio in a part of this little RV. And me and this amazing Black woman, we would chop it up in my little RV, and we're talking about just her freedom journey, where she started, where she is now, what kind of plan does she have, what is her blueprint, what are her tools and resources, what bumps along the way has she experienced, that kind of thing, because I wanted to be able to uh give encouragement to other Black women. so that they can see that there are so many of us right now, and for years also in the past, but right now there are so many of us that are actively on these freedom journeys. Black women are, to my knowledge, the highestly, like right now, black women are the biggest demographic, that they're kind of like either ditching their jobs or they've been laid off. They had that mass layoff, and when they cut like the DEI and all that stuff for what, like government jobs and stuff like that. So I know a lot of black women were laid off during that time, or fired, or whatever you want to say, laid off, fired, whatever. And on top of that, I think there is a continuing mass exodus, I'm getting tongue tied, my bad, of black women who are, excuse my French, basically saying, fuck this shit. Okay. I'm out. All right. I'm out. I'm done. I'm out. And whatever that means for you, whether it's leaving your job, starting a business, leaving the country. I know Miss D is retiring or has retired recently. Um, different things like that. Leaving marriages if they're unhappy, or if, whatever. There's many ways to freedom. There's many ways to freedom. Your mileage may vary. I know that my freedom journey included leaving my 9 to 5 job in 2019. And I can tell you that, child, there has been so it ain't been easy. It ain't been a rose garden. I can tell you that. It hasn't. But I believe in it so strongly, so freely. I know that uh there is more in store, as they say. And even though there has been a lot of bumps along the way, there have been things that I did not necessarily do right. I want to emphasize that the bumps and the bruises are not the only thing that I've experienced. There have been some highs and some great things as well. So it's like you kind of take the good with the not so good, or the good with the bad. And life is never was I don't think life was ever intended for us to be perfect anyway, or for it to be perfect anyway. So there are going to be some hiccups and setbacks and times that you cry. Sorry, y'all. I have 2 animals in my house, so I don't know if that sound's gonna be picked up, but my dog is sleeping right now, so you may hear that. I don't know. Um, but I just figured I could record right now while it was quiet, but clearly that's not gonna be the case. Let me read these comments really quickly. I haven't journaled yet today. Yes, gonna incorporate that. That sounds good. Maybe do a Zoom. I thought about the Zoom. I just I wanna be in person. I've done Zoom, and that is definitely an option and maybe a way just to get started so I can get the ball rolling. But I've had this vision for a few years. Um, but like I said before, the execution has always it honestly, execution has always been one of my weak points. It's not a strong point for me. It's not one of my strong suits, or whatever the word is, but that is possibly a way to get started. But yeah, just this whole idea of the freedom journey. Um, in case you're not familiar, like I said, I quit my job in 2019. I was in corporate America, or like a corporate office type environment for, I think I got my first corporate job in like 20, let's see, maybe like 2003. No, 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 no. That doesn't even sound right. Yeah. Yeah, maybe around 2002, 2000, no, around 2000, or maybe it was late 90s. Child, I don't even remember. That's how old I am. It was maybe in the late 90s, probably. Probably in the late 90s is when I got my first corporate job. And I stayed at that job for like maybe 10, 11 years. And then I got my next corporate job, pretty much doing the same type of job in like 2007 or something like that. And I stayed there until 2019. So I have the type of personality where, and this is not necessarily a good thing, it's really not, but I have the type of personality, or I had the type of personality where no matter what, I was going to be loyal, even though in my heart I was like, these jobs ain't loyal. And it's such a crazy contradiction, because even though I was loyal to these jobs to a fault, still in the back of my mind, I was like, this is not for me. I knew that. Again, I know this probably doesn't even make a lick of sense, because I was so loyal to these jobs, right? But even then, like in the 90s, late 90s, I was like, I ain't about this life. This is not for me. I do not like it. I don't want to be here. I don't even know logically why I would have stayed. I guess it was just really ingrained in me that you when you get a good paying job, especially if you don't have an education, which I did not and do not. It's like I don't have a college degree. I'm probably I don't know how many credits away from an AA, but I ain't been in college since like the 90s. Um, but it was just like you keep that good paying job, and I was making really good money out of, just in my 20s, my 30s, and my 40s. At my peak, before I quit, I was probably, gosh, in 2018, 19, it fluctuated because it not only was a salary, but it wasn't commission based, but it was bonus based. So on a good year with bonuses, I could make maybe 60,000, maybe a little more. I don't really honestly remember on a good year, but between 60 and $70,000 would be my guess. Um so again, without a degree, single mom, no education, that was amazing money. You know what I mean? Just to show up. So that was definitely a part of the reason why I stayed in that position, because there was this fear that this is all you can do. Um I would design like offices, right? For large companies. Like there was like this graphic tool, and I was the person where I would design offices, office spaces, like your conference room, your break room, your cubicles. Like if you needed 50 cubicles, I will be the person to recommend, okay, use this type of cubicle in this space, this because it has this type of sound barrier, or it's tackable, you can tack things on it. Um or if you need a specific size. And so I would use this 3D program and create these, beautiful office environments, which means I had to know a lot about the vendors, because there were countless vendors that sold different office furniture. So probably if you worked in an office, you see that furniture in that office space, the cubicles, the break room furniture or classroom settings, like it would be someone like me. If your boss didn't know what the hell they were doing, they would go to my company, or a similar company, and say, "Hey, we need help laying out this entire floor, or 50 cubicles, or 25 cubicles, or these three large conference rooms, or that kind of thing." That is what I did in corporate America for uh, over 20 years. Yeah, because I'm 50. Over 20 years. 20 to 25 years. I'm guessing because I'm not good with years, but it was at least 20 years. That's what I did. And so I just had this fear, like, you don't have a degree, you ain't got an education, you a single mom, you trying to make ends meet, you're paying all these bills, da 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 da. You got to stay here. Those golden handcuffs are called golden handcuffs for a reason. If you haven't heard the term, it's just basically you're in a position where you're making good money, not necessarily FU money, okay? Not necessarily FU money, but you're making good money, and it's like so you're basically stuck. Even though I wasn't stuck, I just didn't know I wasn't stuck, but that's how you're basically stuck. You're getting this good amount of money, but you feel other than the money, you may not have like a life outside of your job, or like, you know what I mean, like you're unhappy in other areas, but hey, the money's good. That, to me, when I said that, in my spirit, it felt like a relationship. Like when you're in a relationship with someone and you're like, hey, for example, the D is good, but that's literally what came to mind. Hey, the D is good, but everything else is trash. Hey, at least we have a combined income of XYZ, but everything else is trash about this relationship. Like that's literally the energy. When I said that, that's what I felt in my spirit. And so hearing that back is just like, mm, you know. Um, let's see. Thinking to get the ball rolling to remove a barrier to doing your thing. Yeah, I'm thinking the virtuals would make sense, but I'm just like, oh, I want to get outside and do some stuff, but maybe that'll come. But yeah, so after a certain point, I finally was just like, you know what? I'm gonna take a chance on myself. I started the podcast, I think in like 2019, the Brown Girl Self Care Podcast, in case you're not familiar, and it's available on iTunes and Spotify. There's over 300 episodes. Go help a sister out. Go listen. Go support. Okay. Uh, but I had started making a plan, and I found a journal. I started journaling. At least the date on this journal that I found was 2000. Was it 2000? I think 2004, 2014, something like that. So I started journaling around then. At least that was the earliest proof that I had. It could have been before that, but I don't know. But at least since 2014, I've been journaling. And I found some old journals, and I was just writing all these things about how I'm going to get out of this job. And I had been talking about how I wanted to talk about self-care since at least 2014, according to that journal. And so I was writing down all these little ideas. I didn't know how I was going to bring it to fruition. I don't think I had the idea to do a podcast at that point. I'm not even sure that podcasts were a thing in 2014. I'm really not sure. Maybe they were. I don't know. But I just knew I wanted to talk about self-care for Black women. Period. I knew I wanted to talk about self-care, if nothing else. I didn't know what it looked like. I know it was gonna I didn't know anything about it. I just had this idea, in my spirit. And so there came a day in 2019, in September specifically, where literally I was just like, I'm so done with this shit. I am so done with this shit. Because at that point is when I felt like, even though the years before that I was over it already, but in 2019 is when I was like, I've had enough, because they were playing with my money. And what does Big Worm say? Playing with my money is like playing with my emotions. From Friday, if you know, you know. And something had happened where they stopped doing the bonuses. They had changed like the metrics and some other nonsense, but they were requiring extra, like just requiring more. But they got funny with the metrics, and they were like, oh well, we're gonna change this, this, and this. Like it just ultimately affected everybody's money, okay, on my team. And we were not happy. And this was a huge company, by the way. If I said the name, you would know it automatically. It's this huge company, by the way. So they making shmoney. Why are you playing with the money of the people that are doing these jobs, right? But you have these CEOs sitting on a place on high, don't know shit about the job that you do or any of the other people, because there were thousands of employees at this company, don't know anything about what the people on a day-to-day basis are doing to keep this business going, but you're making these decisions and it's coming down the pipe or whatever. And so it's filtering down through the managers, and they're making all these little changes and tweaks. And now you playing with my money. No. No, thank you. No, sir. No, ma'am. Okay. So in 2019, even though I had kind of had this feeling for a while, I had been praying on it a little bit and just kept reflecting. There were points in that year and the year before where I was going to work. I was crying in the parking lot. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Crying in the parking lot in my car, hating life, hating them, hating everybody, just miserable. Even though I had the power to change things, I still hadn't tapped into it yet all that time. So I was just like in this miserable place. But then in September, I said, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. So I sent an email to my boss. I wish I had that email. Oh, I bet you I do. Probably saved. I'm sure I maybe sent it to myself. I have to look and see if I have it. But I put this email together and I sat on it for a few days because I was like, oh, I'm scared. I am scared. And when you're about to do something big, it's scary as hell. It can be scary as hell to make a huge shift. I was dependent on this job. This job was life or death in my mind, especially I have a daughter. I had a young child in 2019. Or maybe she was a teen. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to do the quick math here. She was a young teen, if I'm not mistaken. And you know, I was scared. I really, really was scared, but I was just like, I can't do this no more. I had dealt with depression. I had done a depression leave while I was on that job. I think I did my depression leave actually in 2014 because I wrote something about it. So I think I went on depression leave for a whole last year in 2014. And that was something. That was a rough year. A really, really rough year. When you think about depression leave, first of all, it was good because I didn't have to go in there for a whole year. But when you go on leave, like you take a whole year, you don't get your full salary and other things. So there were some but definitely there were some pros to it because I didn't have to be there and I was able to really focus on myself. But it was hard. It was a very low place. I remember, you know, so many nights I would sleep downstairs on the couch in my living room. I had a nice big bedroom upstairs, comfortable, beautiful. Love the mattress. It was I had a beautiful bedroom. It was big. I had a bathroom inside my bedroom and all that stuff. Pretty much almost that whole year for at least 6 months of that year, I slept downstairs on the couch. I don't even know why to this day. I don't know what the bedroom represented to me. You would assume that a bedroom represents safety, peace, comfort, quiet, calm, whatever. But there was something about the bedroom. I don't even know what the disconnect was, y'all. But this is how far my depression was, like how low I was. I couldn't even go upstairs and sleep on the couch. So what I would do is um because I was taking my daughter to school, obviously. So every day, Monday through Friday, it was pretty much the same routine. I would, of course, she would wake herself up, get herself ready for school, all that stuff. And then I would get up off the couch, probably throw on a jacket or something, or sweats or whatever. I don't know. And then I would take her to school. I would come home. At some point throughout the day, I would eat, but I would end up on that couch again. I was literally couch locked for almost for at least 6 months out of that year. And it was just like wash, rinse, repeat over and over and over and over and over again because depression really hit me hard. Again, I was miserable. I knew that I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted a change in my life. Like it was just a lot going on. But so that's why ultimately 5 years later, I ended up writing that letter. And I sat on it for a few days. Like I said, I prayed on it, but I sent it. And I tell you, I was, you know how some people say that they do things and they feel this peace? It was, it was divided. I felt some peace, but I was so nervous. I was so nervous. Like, I have the audacity to do this. Me in my position, how dare I? There was like this a little bit of internal conflict. But there was also a bit of peace. Like, okay, I've done it. It's out there now. And so I quit my job in September 2019 and I have not looked back. And somehow I have survived through the grace of God, the grace of ancestors. I don't, it's just, I'm so thankful. There have been some huge rocks in my path and things I still struggle with and I'm trying to move beyond and heal through. And it's been rough, okay? Uh in certain aspects, mentally, financially, things like that, but thankfully still here. Uh and my life has been better in some ways as well. So I'm thankful that I finally was able to work up enough nerve and enough audacity and enough courage to do this. Even if it did take me years to do it. Sometimes that's just what the journey is like. You know what it is that you want, or you know what it is you don't want, and the beauty of it is you get to explore what it is that you do want. And I feel like you don't have to have all the answers necessarily. If you know what you don't want, if you know what you don't want, you can kind of start to eliminate and weed those things out if you're pursuing your own freedom journey. Again, you don't have to have all the answers. Just knowing what you don't want for your life is a great starting point. Like, I don't want to wake up anymore at 5 a.m. unless it's by my choice. I don't want to wake up to an alarm clock at 5 a.m. anymore. I don't want to spend 35 minutes one way in traffic every single day to go to this job, even though my job is literally only is like 10 miles or less away, but I've got to spend 35 minutes at least in traffic to get there. I don't want to do that anymore. um, I don't want to, whatever it is, like, if you know what you don't want, you can work from that. That's a great place to start, you know? And I'm not telling you to run out and quit your job. I would never tell someone to do that. That's not my place to say. Your freedom journey is your own, just like my freedom journey was mine. And regardless if you quit your job now or you quit your job 10 years from now, just know that there's going to be some bumps along the way. That's just life. That doesn't mean you made a mistake. That's just life, you know? So do your due diligence, make a plan, think through the things that at minimum at first you do not like, you know, and start to build your freedom journey that way. You may not even quit your job. You may love your job and still desire to have some type of a different type of freedom. It's not just about the job necessarily. I'm just focusing on that because that was a part, or that is a part of my personal freedom journey. Okay. But yeah, just there's so many different ways to pursue a freedom journey. Again, it could be quitting your job. It could be buying some land and living debt free in a tiny home or in an RV. That was something that I thought I was going to be doing. That's one of the reasons why I'm in Arkansas right now. That didn't pan out. Like I said, there's going to be bumps along the way. I was going to be living with a friend on her land that I was going to be a part owner on and investing into. Long story short, because I don't feel like rehashing the past. The past is the past, but I'll just say that didn't work out. And it just didn't. So I rise, still I keep going. I'm not going to give up on my freedom journey just because things didn't pan out the way I planned or the way that I envisioned. The future is not set in stone. So even if you have a vision for your life, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to go the exact way that you envisioned. There's going to be natural curves in the road that are going to give you different options. Do I go straight? Do I go left? Do I go right? Do I make a U-turn and back up a little bit and then go down a different path? Like, there's different paths to that vision that you have. And that means because there's different paths, the outcome or the how about this? The sights along the way that you experience are going to be different depending on the choices and you make and the direction that you take. That's a beautiful thing. Doesn't mean necessarily that you won't have that life that you desire or that type of freedom that you want just because it doesn't go the way that you envision when you first started making this journey or first started making this path. Okay. But yeah, that's why I'm in Arkansas. I moved from California, born and raised in California, lived there all my life, moved here in 20, what year is this? 2026? Moved here in 2025. Yeah, I moved here in 2025. And baby, let me tell you, I cannot wait to get the hell out of here. I cannot wait to get the HE doubles hockey sticks out of here. So that is now a part of my freedom journey because I only moved here to live in community and to be in community with my friend. That was the only, and besides things being a little less expensive out here, obviously compared to California, but being in community with her was literally the main reason why I and my daughter moved out here. And that didn't pan out. So yeah, it is what it is. But that is not going to stop my freedom journey. It just means my freedom journey is going to look a little different. But I still do want to have some land. I still do want to live in such a way that I don't have to ever rely on a job again. Oh, good morning. Good morning. Hey, Lynette. Thanks, Dee, for inviting her in. Good morning, Lynette. Um, and also a vision that I have for my life is I do in fact want to leave this country, even if for a time. I think the kitten is asleep, child. Yeah, it is. I want to leave the country for a time. So I've been researching, Thailand, Vietnam, um, Nigeria, Ghana, um, where else? Have I looked into Singapore? No, not Singapore. Um, dang, not China. What else? I'm trying to think of other places I've kind of just started to investigate, and they escape me right now. But um, that's on the table for me as well. Since now I clearly off the table is me being living in a community with my friend or whatever we are now. I don't know, but my path is now going a different direction. You see so basically what I was saying just a few minutes before is you have this vision and you move towards this vision, but the road is not straight. The road to that vision is not straight. Doesn't mean you can't have your exact vision, but what I'm saying is since the road is not straight, there's going to be choices and things that naturally happen and occur. Maybe it was not meant for me to live with her. Maybe it was meant for me to move out here to Arkansas to either learn a lesson or to experience something. I don't know what, or to, uh, I don't know, maybe there's something I need here in this state. You know what I mean? I don't really know. But so I'm not looking at it as a failure. I'm looking at it as just a part of my freedom journey, a part of my experience. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at it as a fail. I hope we can meet in person. Yes, absolutely. I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about that. Absolutely. We will and we must. And maybe I can interview you. I don't know. Maybe you'll be the first person I interview. Who knows? Time will tell, but we absolutely will. Um what was I saying? Yeah, but I do want to experience life outside this country. That's going to happen one way or another. And I've got a lot to figure out behind the scenes because, first of all, you need to have a certain amount of money to be able to do this. Like, if you want to live on a visa in a different um, country, sometimes they require you having X amount of money in the bank. Now, I can't remember if it was Thailand or Vietnam or wherever else I looked, but one of the places where I was like, okay, I can live there on a visa for 6 months. No, what is it? There's let's just say Thailand. I can't remember what country it was. I'm just gonna say Thailand, but this may be wrong. But I looked into it and there's like a 5 year visa that you can live on if you're like a content creator or a creative or like an entrepreneur or whatever. So I can totally do that but the thing is you have to have proof of income every month. You're like, in other words, you're proving that you're making money every month through your brand or your business, which I think I'll be okay with. But also you have to have um it was either $15,000 or 15,000 or $20,000. I'm just gonna say $20,000. You have to have $20,000 in the bank, something like that. I ain't got $20,000 in the bank, sis. I don't even have $1,000 in the bank right now. But that's my reality. Ain't no shame. But yeah. So I'm just okay. How can I get to the money? You know what I'm saying? Because I want to do this. I want to do this even if for 6 months. I want to be able to experience life outside the US. I do. I feel like that is a huge part of my freedom journey. And then as I continue to do that or explore, I'll know, oh, okay, I can see myself living here for a year. I can see myself living here for 3 years. I can see myself living here for 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Or do I want to move around? I don't know. But I want to start this journey. Um yeah, I was looking at South Africa. I don't think I want to go to Mexico. I don't know. But I'm starting to get into groups online. They have groups on Facebook for expats generally, but they also have specifically Black groups. And then they have groups depending on where it is you want to go. So you can do your research, do your due diligence if this is something you want to just explore and see what the people are saying. Where are they going? Where are they finding apartments? How much is the rent? How much is it day to day? What are they doing on a daily basis? Are they meeting up and being in community with other people? That's important too. You know, is it where are the safe areas? Where should I avoid? What are the scams? What are the great things? Where are the business? What are the local businesses that you want to support? That kind of thing. Get into these Facebook groups. There's many of them. Um, let's see, Georgia and Albania give US in 1 year. Oh, check. Okay, I have not looked into that. Okay, thank you. Have not looked into that. But yeah, I definitely want to do this. But there's some things behind the scenes that I need to figure out. Can I take my dog? I don't know, because when I was thinking about Thailand, it's several $1,000s. There's like a whole process, but I don't know if I want to leave my dog here. There's just different things I need to figure out. But um plus, on top of that, I definitely need to have savings before I did this anyway, which I do not. So, yeah, this is why I am really going to be pushing. I got to start making money. I took a few weeks to kind of like figure out in this 90-day challenge, like, let me just first just be consistent in showing up. Let me just start with that. Like everything is connected. Me showing up and being consistent is going to lead to this, which is going to lead to that, which is going to lead to this. Part of being consistent is I know that at some point here on YouTube, I'm calling it by the end of the year. That's what I'm putting out there. Okay. By the end of the year, I'm putting out there that this channel will be monetized. Okay. Now you have to have 4,000 hours of watch time plus 1,000 subscribers to start getting monetized. Am I close to that? No, I am not. Am I being delusional and having faith that I'm going to do this? Absolutely. 1,000, 1,000,000%. This channel will be monetized. Okay? This channel will be monetized, and that will be another income stream for me. Okay? Yes. Let's see. Oh, okay, y'all talking about Panama. All right. So, yeah, but I am thousands of hours away from the watch time, but it's okay. It's going to have things are working out for me. Okay? And the snowball effect, and the more content I create, it's going to happen, all right? So, yes. But you know, I definitely do want to experience life outside of this country for a few reasons. And we all know those reasons, right? You're a black woman. You already know. Okay. But that's definitely a part of my freedom journey. That's definitely a part of my freedom journey. But there's so many things that I want to do. And I really do want to have a life full of ease where I can just be. I don't have to mask, I don't have to pretend, I don't have to struggle, I don't have to um shrink, I don't have to be less than, I don't have to feel less than. I can just be myself, raw, real, quirky, corny, quiet, introverted a lot of the times. I can just be myself and experience a level of ease that just restores me. That's what I want for black women, just ease, restoration, freedom, abundance, happiness, joy. These are the type of lives, or this is the type of life that I want. And so I am doing what I can to center that and working a full-time job, like, as delusional and insane as it sounds, like, it just wasn't that for me. I just don't feel like I was built for that. We're all built for different things. I just do not have the like, if it comes to your mental health being affected, like, it's just not for you, or it wasn't for me. I feel like I was put here to, um do things differently and to use my voice and my gifts in a different way, which is why I started the podcast. So here we are. But the road has definitely not been easy. But I'm growing, I'm learning. And the more I do this and show up in this challenge, I'm doing a 90-day challenge. I don't think I explained that. Maybe I did. I don't remember. But If you go back and you watch other videos, which I hope you do, you may notice that you'll see a number like 1/90, 2/90. Yesterday, I put 20/90, and Dorita was like, sis, my good sis. Dorita tapped the microphone. Sis, today is not day 20. That's what she told me yesterday. Sis, I'm going to tell you this gently. Today is not the 20th. Today is not day 20. Today is day 19. And I was like, okay. So yesterday it says 20, but it was day 19 because I started this challenge on the 1st. So today is officially day 20. So I got to go back and correct that. But, I'm taking on this 90-day, I'm calling it a challenge, but really it's just about transformation. I, how you just kind of like get sick of your own shit. That's how it was feeling. Even though I've made such great progress and I've been doing, the work and growing and challenging old beliefs and uh just doing things differently than what I was shown or how I was raised or things that were spoken about me or spoken over me, really challenging those things because they affected me pretty much my entire life. I grew up in a very toxic environment. I grew up in a very toxic situation. So f- un I'm healing through decades of that. The trauma doesn't just disappear just because you're an adult. But I'm doing this 20-day challenge or 90-day challenge where for 90 days I am being visible on YouTube because I know that this is going to unlock the next for me. You have to figure out what's going to unlock the next for you. Again, I always say this, but why MMV? Your mileage may vary. But for me, what is going to unlock my next, in part, there's several things. Like we talked about writing down your goals every single day. I'm doing that for the next 30 days. Okay. Uh, but showing up, being visible, unmasking, having the audacity and the courage to come to you and talk to you, usually in videos, not on live, but I wanted to go live today, is going to unlock the next for me. So it's like me putting my faith out there, and showing up in this way. And it's funny because today I got an email from a brand and they are reaching out to me to see if there's like a collaboration, a paid collaboration, obviously. Uh, they were talking about how they wanted to, for me to do like a host read. So if you listen to the Brown Girl Self Care podcast, which I hope you do, Spotify, iTunes, support your girl, you'll notice that there are ads at the middle of the podcast where I'm saying, hey, uh, here's a product that I think you should, investigate and learn more about. And I've done those, for the last few years, and I get paid for that, obviously. Um, so they were asking about a host read ad. But what I'm going to do, because I'm showing up with all the audacity, okay? If white people ain't taught me nothing, they taught me to have some damn audacity because they have all the audacity, honey. All of the unjustified audacity, okay? All of it. So that's about the only thing that I feel like I can take from them is to have all the damn audacity. All right. So, my audacious self, I'm going to email them back and I'm going to tell them, hey, for X amount of dollars, I can create, UGC, user generated content for you. And they can take it or leave it. It's not necessarily about them. If they say yes, great. But if they say no, that's okay. Because I know at some point it will happen where I'm going to be creating content for brands, and my fee for now is going to start at $500 per video. And they may laugh at that and say, ha ha ha, you have got it twisted and you have got us effed up. No, thank you. That's okay. I know my worth. I know what I've done over the last 5, 6 years. I know the audience that I have built as a non celebrity, non-influencer or influential Black woman. I know what I bring to the table. Somebody's going to pay, but my starting price is going to be $500. And as I continue because I do think this is going to continue over the years. The price will increase. Okay. We talking about your freedom journey. You're gonna have to have some audacity, sis. And I'm telling you, and I'm telling me too. You're gonna have to have some audacity. Whatever freedom is for you, because I know your journey is not like mine. Whatever freedom is for you, put some audacity in it. Sprinkle some audacity all up in twixt that freedom journey. I am doing this because I need to get to where the money resides, because I have this vision for my life where I am debt free, where I have bought some land, where I am traveling and living outside the country for a spell, um, where I am pouring into other Black women, uh, just setting my daughter up, setting her future up. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want her to have to be on nobody's plantation. Okay. Unless she wants to, I want her to have the freedom to move around and do whatever makes sense for her. Okay. So I have goals, right? You're not gonna hit that. You not gonna hit them goals by not being audacious. There's so much time that I have spent with the vision and holding the vision and seeing the vision and loving the vision and wishing for the vision and praying for the vision and hoping for the vision and crying for the vision. God, why you won't do this for me? What's going on? Where are the promises, God? Where they at? What's going on? Like, why is nothing moving? I know God is like, I'm so sick of you. I know God is like, girl, I am so done with you. You are getting on my damn nerves. God is like, get off the main line. I'm sick of you today. Get off my phone. God is like, get off my phone. I am so tired of you. I done gave you the voice, the gifts, the talent, the brain, the experience, or you can learn. I've given you the drive, the hustle, the vision, um, whatever. What else? What, like Tyrese said, what more do you want from me? That is what God is saying to me. What more do you want from me? But yeah, it's like audacity, sis. Have all the audacity. Whatever your freedom journey entails, have all the audacity. Don't just sit with the vision like I did for years. Don't just hold the vision in your hand and look at it from time to time and take it out the box and be like, oh, I sure do wish I could have that one day. Or I sure do wish that could happen for me someday. Girl, snap out of it. Okay? Have the audacity. Have the audacity. All right? Because you got everything else. You got everything else. I feel like, at least for me, like if you're coming from a place of trauma, like if you had a CPTSD, complex trauma, childhood trauma, whatever, I feel like that audacity, it gets stripped away because it's either beaten out of you or it's talked out of you. At least I feel like that was a part of my experience. When we are brought here to this earth, we have audacity, we have gumption, we have ideas, we have thoughts, we have and as crazy as they are, because kids are sometimes they're just insane. That's just a part of being a kid. But I say that because they have these little minds and they have all these ideas and they have all this courage because they don't know that they need to have courage. They're kids. They're just like, oh, this sounds great. I'm gonna I'm gonna jump off this chair right now. Like they're just doing all this crazy stuff, but they have this courage, they have this audacity. And I think that for some of us, it's just stripped away. It's hidden with like we it's gone dormant. And so it's up to you to start to bring that out, because the only way that we're gonna start to bring these things to fruition, because I know you have it in you. You have the ideas, you have the vision, you have the mindset, you have the whatever you need. the gifts, the talents, the skills, whatever. Or if you don't know, you're so smart, you're so brilliant, you can figure it out, you can do it, you know. But you sometimes we, at least I'll speak for myself, sometimes you lack the audacity. I lack the audacity for a very long time. And you don't even need a whole bunch. Start small. But that freedom journey, sis, it's yours. It really, really is. It's yours. If you can see it, if you can imagine it, if you can see it, it's yours. It's yours. But you gotta move past the vision for it. You gotta like start to take action towards it. And action can happen in a variety of ways. It's not like you have to make this. I quit my job in 2019 because I was like, I'm sick of this shit. That was just what it was. I'm sick of this shit. Yes, I cuss. No, I'm not apologizing for it. But that's just what it was. I was like, I'm sick of this shit. I'm so tired of this. I was tired. I was just tired of not m- moving forward in something that mattered to me. I was so numb inside. No, I didn't care about this job. I didn't care about the numbers. I didn't care about another damn quote. Oh my God. Like another this, another, I gotta, okay, another request to do this office, or another request to design these conference rooms. And some people would love that. And I did in the beginning. It was exciting. But after a while, just like, I'm sick of this. This is not what I'm not built for this. And people like making demands, and then on top of that, not only was I dealing with customers, corporate customers, but then I was like a support person. So I have internal customers too. And some of them didn't like me and I didn't like them. And it was just so much office politics and office drama, and having to play the role and having to code switch and like all this stuff. Like that's not code switching is not a part of my freedom journey. Not cussing is not a part of my freedom. It's not a part of my freedom journey. It's just not. It's just not. Um, just I don't know, but we got to have audacity. Have all the audacity. Have all and then take some more. Have all the audacity and then double it. Okay? Have all the audacity and then quadruple it. Like just keep leveling it up. All right? Start small, start like this. Like this. And then just level it up. Just keep going. First it's like this, then 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 it's like just keep leveling it up. And who cares? Like I said, I'm going to reply to that email that I mentioned where they were like, "Hey, we're interested in a brand collab." They're going to get what I send them. I'm going to be strategic. All they can say is yes or no. Their no is not going to kill me. Their no is not going to stop the show. It's their loss, not mine. They just don't know it. Okay? But I'm going to keep going because there's going to be a yes at some point, and I'm going to just keep. Once you get the snowball rolling, baby, it's just going to keep going. That snowball. But a snowball doesn't start with a ball of snow. A snowball starts with probably like a flake. Yes, a snowball starts with a flake of ice. I ain't no scientist. What's it called? Snowflake. I said a flake of ice. Fix it, Jesus. A snowflake. Y'all see that these are kind of conversations I be having in my mind. Anyway, a snowflake. A snowball starts with a snowflake. And then another snowflake is like, "Hey, what you doing over there? I like that. I like your vibe. Let's link up." And now you got two snowflakes. And then another snowflake comes over and he's like, "What's up? Where's the party? Let me I have a few friends. Let's get it popping." And then next thing you know, you got like what is it? Probably like a piece of hail or something. I don't know how freaking snowballs are made. I'm making this up, but you know what I'm talking about. All right. You know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying. But it takes a snowflake. It takes a mustard seed of faith to grow. It takes a little seed of something. It takes just a little gumption, a little audacity, a little belief in yourself. Some of you ain't doing it because you don't believe in yourself. And I know this to be true because that was me. I am somebody. I didn't believe in myself for a very long time. Held myself back for so long. For so long. For so long. In some areas of my life. But that's neither here nor there. I can only move forward from today. But I will not discount the journey that I was on over the last X amount of years because they all led me to this point. You know, just having the smallest, like, even though things were going crazy in my life, even though there were times when I literally hated my life, y'all. I've talked about this. I hated my life. I hated myself. Okay. I just felt like, why am I, what's the point? I'm useless. Why am I here? Life sucks. Everything is hard. I was born into struggle. I was raised in struggle. I have a parent who, our relationship is fucked up. Again, I cuss. I don't make any apologies for it. But this is my truth. Relationship with my parent is fucked up. There were times when trigger warning, okay? Trigger warning. If you don't want to hear about this, click out now. But there were times when I was younger, I wanted to end my life because shit was hard and it was miserable. It really was. I don't think that my mother had the right, um is temperament the right word? Somebody help me. I don't think that my mother had the right, I'm going to say temperament. I don't know if that's the right word, to deal with a personality like mine. She was a young single parent who was brought up in a dysfunctional family, an abusive, toxic, dysfunctional family where her mother did the best she could, but it was not, it was harmful. It was harmful. And it just got carried on down the line. I can even imagine what my grandmother went through. And I would imagine my grandmother's mother was probably enslaved, maybe, possibly. Oh, I don't really have family history. That's another part of my toxic family dynamic is there is no family history. Okay. I couldn't even tell you who, besides my one grandmother, I couldn't tell you who my grandfather, even what his name is. I couldn't tell you on my father's side what his parents' names were. Like there's just so much dysfunction in my family. So I'm just telling you that so you understand what I was raised in. Ah, what I was raised in. It was hard. And so I grew up hating my life. I really did. I grew up hating everything about my life, hating myself, hating my life, hating my environment. Um, so the fact that I am here today talking to you about self-care for Black women, like I'm not, this is not something that is just oh, I think I'll just talk about this. No, and where I'm not invested in it, where I don't have a heart for it. I do, because I know that if I grew up in such a way, and not only grew up in such a way, but then in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s, gone through all these cycles and patterns and habits that are so fucking hard to break sometimes. I know it's not just me. I know it's not just me. And on top of that, you have to think about these systems that we are living in that are perpetuating the actual toxic circumstances that we were brought up in. They're at the root of a lot of the stuff that we had to experience and survive and endure. It didn't just happen just because. We know that these systems have been so harmful and violent and oppressive and toxic to generations of our lineage. And now here we are with the audacity to want freedom, with the audacity to want more, with the audacity, oh my God, I feel like I want to cry, with the audacity. Mm, with the audacity to have something that the people that were here before us could only dream of. This is why I want you to have the audacity. This is why I want you to do more for your life. This is why I want you to have your freedom journey. You may have been brought up in circumstances that were beyond your control, but that doesn't have to dictate the rest of your life. It really doesn't. So that's why I show up. And this is why I'm on this journey. And this is why I am doing what I am doing, because it's that important to me. I want to live differently. I want to live abundantly. I want better than what I was brought up in. I want better for other Black women. I want better for my daughter. I want to completely break that cycle of dysfunction in my family. Even though right now, the only family I have literally is my daughter. Because you know that or if you don't know, I went no contact with my mother in 2024, June of 2024. Okay. So yeah, this work is important to me. It really, really is. This labor of love that I am trying to build and put out into the world, is it's a labor of love, not only for myself, but for you as well. Because I want us to have everything that our people, our ancestors, could only dream of. We deserve that. We are owed that. But we ain't gonna talk about that right now. But we are owed that. Okay. So when I tell Black women to do less, I mean that. When I tell or talk to Black women about, you know, blooming in joy and ease and freedom and, you know, whatever, abundance and whatever, I mean that. Like I mean that 1,000,000%, because we are owed that. Okay. Let me read these comments because I done got off track here. Um Look at Dorita. Girl, join. Listen, if I could pay to put you on my team, I always seem to forget that. Likes equals viewers. Yes. Audacity. Yes. Keep on asking, keep on seeking, keep on knocking, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Thank you, Lynette. Um, Perpetuating was the word. Yes. Breaking those cycles and systems takes intention and a lot of energy. Yes, it does take a lot of energy. And listen, let me ask you a question. When you think about freedom and you think about these systems and cycles, okay? How much energy is required when you are working, for example, in a 9 to 5? the- you, you work in the 9 to 5, you may have an hour commute. You have to wake up, shower, eat your breakfast if you eat breakfast. I personally don't. I think breakfast can be gross for some reason. Have your coffee. Maybe you got to take the babies to daycare, or take the babies to school, or take your kids to school or something. You get to work. You work until 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. You have to go pick up your baby from daycare. And you get home. You got to feed the baby, bathe the baby, read her story, um, make sure she's good, pack her bag, or help with homework, make dinner. By the time you are done with your day, it could be, you look up, it could be 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, before you finally have an opportunity to, you know, and then you got to do it all over again the next day, where you're getting up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m., whatever, right? When you think about the energy that's required to break cycles, to have different, to be free, to think about some of to even work towards, even think about some of the things you want, get out of debt, uh, save money, um, whatever. It requires so much energy, but it's like you're exhausted from the day to day. And yeah, you may have Saturday and Sunday, to do what you want to do, but we all know you can't necessarily always do what you want to do, because you have responsibilities, and then you've got to get ready for work. the next, for Monday and prepare for that. You got to go to the laundromat if you don't have a washer and dryer at home, or even still, even if you do, you got to wash clothes, you got to clean the house, you got to do your grocery shopping, you got to run your errands, you got to, you know, go to the dentist that day or whatever the case may be. It's like there is no time or there is no energy extra for you to now be able to focus on you and to center yourself and to think about your freedom journey. There is no extra time because your day is full of responsibility and working. I think that's by design, by the way, but what do I know? I think it's by design to leave you with just enough energy to go back to work the next week, just enough time off to kind of recharge your batteries a little bit, you know, and then do it all over again the next week. A lot of times for barely any decent reward, any decent payoff, you know. But yeah, it requires so much energy to do that. I just didn't have it, you know? And that's another reason why I quit my job because it was just like I had to choose me in that way. That's what I felt was right for me. I had to choose me in that way of quitting my job. Some people can do it and they don't have to quit their job. I just felt like I had to. I had to save my sanity, to save my health, to save my mental health, my physical health too. Um, because there's only so much time in the day. And when you have so much trauma that you are healing through and processing, because it doesn't all happen at once, it just happens in waves over time. Uh, you need time for that. You need time for that. I remember speaking of like trauma and being able to process when my brother was killed in 2017. uh I found out, let's say he died on a Monday. I don't know what day it was, but I don't even know if I took off the next day at work. I have no idea if I even did. But I know that I did go back to work, and there I was processing this thing that happened again in my family dynamic, and just dealing with that, but I'm working. And I did end up taking some time off, but because the funeral was delayed because he was murdered. There was just stuff going on, so we didn't even have his funeral until August. But once that happened, I did take some time off, but I'm literally the day after, or maybe 2 days after my brother was killed, I'm back at work. I had taken no time to grieve. I had taken no time to process. I don't even know how I functioned. I really, really don't. I have no idea. Um, but they only give you so much bereavement time. And I had to use that time once the funeral happened. So I had to go back to work, you know? But ultimately, I just knew that this environment, like just working a 9 to 5 is not for me. So I had to take a chance on myself. So that's what my freedom journey is looking like. So these days, um, what that looks like for me today is I did call myself having a little retail job. I started in like February, if I'm not mistaken. And I ended up quitting in what month is this? July? I quit in June, if I'm not mistaken. And that insurance had just kicked in because they put you on probation. And I think it's like a 90-day or something. And then you get the medical insurance and stuff. And I need that insurance. But I kept getting hurt on the job, and it was just very labor intensive. And I'm a woman of a certain age, and my body was just breaking down. And on top of that, they just I don't want to work in a place of chaos. Been there, done that. That work environment was so chaotic. It's just not for me. It just wasn't worth my peace. So I tried to have some consistent income coming in. That just didn't work. So I'll need to look for something else, maybe a work from home gig or something like that. But in the meantime, I'm going to put my talents into use by um, just creating content, doing what I feel like I was put here to do, you know? So over the coming days, if you see things being offered and they are your jam, just know that your support is a tremendous help. If you buy a digital download or you subscribe to the private podcast, um, which I think you can do that on iTunes. I'm creating content for that right now. That support is greatly appreciated. But regardless, these days, outside of like the money thing, when I think about my freedom journey, it's I just feel more restored. Um, I feel more at peace. I feel like I have time to actually think my thoughts, time and energy to start implementing things and taking action. I'm not constantly tired. I'm not constantly miserable or angry. Um, so while there have been some, I guess, downsides or things that have taken longer to take off, there have been so many benefits. Um, but I have decided I have to prioritize my health above all else. I have to prioritize my health and I have to prioritize my time because without those things, it's like, what do you have? What do you have? So I definitely want to explore freedom journeys more in the coming days as I continue on with this transformation challenge that I'm doing here on YouTube. But I didn't expect to talk this long. I definitely didn't expect to cry today. But man, sometimes, when you're in that momentary raw point, it's like you're going to feel emotions. But yeah, I just want to thank you for hanging out with me today. I know that Dorita was here, Lynette was here, and I think there's maybe one other person, one or two other people here, but I don't think you've commented. But I definitely want to go live again. Maybe I'll go live again next Monday. I don't know, but this has really been something. It really, really has been. And I appreciate you two ladies for keeping the chat popping and for showing up for me in this way. It means the world. And yeah, that's it for today. So I don't see any questions or anything else. Oh, calibrating life. I don't know if you're still here, but thank you so much for being here. I can only see your name if you leave a comment. And so, yeah, this has spoken to me today. I wish I could know what parts you guys were responding to, but it's hard to like talk and look at the chat at the same time. So by the time I get to the chat, y'all done moved on to something completely different that I said. So I don't really know what I'm responding to necessarily, but you did comment and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So yeah, if you haven't yet, go check out the other videos. 1 through 19 are up. And this one, I created a playlist. And so now I have to go in and put all the videos in. So hopefully this is day 20. I don't care if it doesn't show up on the main page. This is day 20 of me showing up. Okay. So I'm going to try to put this in the playlist along with other videos. I'm going to put those in the playlist as well. So hopefully it shows up. I don't know. I'm not very YouTube savvy yet, but I'm getting there and I'm learning. I'm having the audacity to learn a new skill in my 50s. Yes, we can do that. You have all the audacity. We talked about that. Have all of it. So I have the audacity to learn a new skill. So I'm a little clunky with YouTube for now, but I know that the more that I show up, you know, I'll learn. There's nothing that I can't learn. There's nothing that you can't learn either. So use me as an example, girl. Have the audacity. Start doing audacious things. Even if you're like, this doesn't make sense. I know they're look, I know they're gonna say no. First of all, you don't know that 100%. But even still, if you're like, I know they're gonna say no, or whatever. Like, go and do one thing today that you like that's just audacious. One thing. Go and do one thing today and report back. Report back. Okay. Send me an email. My email address is connect@browngirlselfcare.com. If you're up for the challenge, go and do one audacious thing today. One thing and report back and let me know how that felt and how that went for you. I promise you, you start doing one little audacious thing, it starts to snowball. You're gonna have all the audacity, okay, in 2026. All right. All right. So I gotta let this kitten out. You want to see the kitten before I wrap up? Let me get her. This is my daughter's kitten. I ain't asked for this, by the way. I ain't asked for this, but now I'm a kitten grandmother. And my daughter thought for some reason that, hold on, let me get her. Oh, come here, mama. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This is Leica. Leica is the name my daughter gave her. Oh, I have a cramp in my leg. And I named her Lux. Her middle name is Lux. I didn't sign up for this, y'all. She gonna beat me up in just a second. But this is Leica. I'm a grandmother because my daughter says she doesn't want to have look, hold on. Okay. Furniture in a minute. So you oh, hold on, yeah. Disconnect. I don't know. Whoops, sorry, y'all. She's gonna start doing parkour off the furniture in just a minute, I'm sure. So you may see her up here. That's why I'm trying to hurry up and get off this live. But yeah, do something audacious today, y'all, and report back. Okay. And go watch the videos. I'm gonna put them in the playlist. And that's it for today, y'all. I appreciate you. And again, I'll try to come back with another live. If this is something that you guys like, maybe once a week, we can just chop it up on this live, right? So what's today? Monday? Maybe I will put this on my calendar to come back on Monday at 9 a.m. Central, and we'll just see how it goes next week. And then we'll see if this is something that, or I'll see if this is something I want to continue. So put it on your calendar, 9 a.m. Monday next week, 9 a.m. Central next week. I'll go live again and we will just keep the conversation going. Okay. All right. Well, have a blessed day. Do something audacious. I love you. And I'll talk to you later. Bye. I got to figure out how to end this chat.